chance to chat. You were always walking in the woods with Max or talking in the woods with Max, and who knows what else in the woods with Max.
The woodchucks know.
Mother, it's just that, I don't know, you just seem so different, so unlike yourself. You didn't put me down once this weekend.
I didn't?
No.
Oh, I'll have to make up for that.
Hello. Welcome back to...
Hey, yo. Oh, hey.
The Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss. I actually have a little bit of news.
Okay. Well, you said you had news and it didn't seem promising.
All right, so
I'm not excited.
Earlier today, Tony Danza was on Good Day New York, or Good Morning New York.
Okay.
And it's probably Good Day New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that probably? And so he's promoting, so he's going to be doing an event called The Cops versus Kids. It's a virtual talent show. This goes to benefit PAL, which is Police Athletic League. And it is May 20th at 7 p.m. You can get tickets by going to palnyc.org. So while they were interviewing him for that, they asked about the Who's the Boss reboot. And here's what he said.
Speaking of performances, what's going on? I heard there might be a reboot with Who's the Boss. When's that happening? When are we going to see it?
It's just in the talking stages, really, Rosanna. I mean, I'd love to tell you all about it, and I'll be honest with you, I've seen an outline of the show, the proposed show, and it would be me and Alyssa, obviously, and it's an interesting idea, and it's in the very late talking stages. How's that?
Oh, good. Oh, that's encouraging.
I just want to take a moment of silence for the Who's the Boss reboot that most likely isn't going to happen.
I know. I mean, now we're looking at almost a year of it being in talks.
Yeah, I mean...
Right?
So I don't really understand his response here because, first of all, he doesn't seem excited about it, and it seems as if it's in talks. Then he mentions seeing a script and that it's interesting, or an outline.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they just were hoping that maybe someone would want to pick them up for distribution once the news came out, and that really hasn't happened. So I feel like it's a bit of a mountain to climb because now they have to make the show and then try to sell it if no one's interested in it on the
right,
pitch.
if no one's interested immediately, right.
And then... What's funny about that interview that you can't see because we're playing it on the podcast was he then stresses it would be me and Alyssa, but they're playing a clip of Tony and Angela in the background.
Right.
So I really am starting to lose hope that Judith Light will be involved in this at all. I mean, if they make this show with just Sam and Tony and it doesn't have Angela in it and Tony and Angela aren't together or whatever, the show's just not going to do well. So it's why bother?
I don't know where you go with it. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe it's hard to get Judith Light, whatever. But, was there a falling out or something? You know what I mean?
No.
No, I mean, saying, how do you explain that she's just not on the show at all?
I see what you're saying. The characters. Right. Yes.
No, I'm saying, the characters.
Right. Well, see, and that's
shit
the
go
thing,
down with Angela, and that's it,
Right.
Or are they together?
The heart of
and still not married.
The heart of Who's the Boss is Tony and Angela.
Right.
It just is. That is why people stuck around for 8 seasons. It wasn't for the kids. And we loved Samantha and Jonathan growing up, but it wasn't, they were part of the show. The show was not about the kids. So... And yes, it would be fun to see Tony and Samantha have kind of this adult dynamic, but as long as the rest of the family is also intact.
Right.
And I feel like fans really they waited a long time to get a lukewarm, happy ending. And so then to bring this show back and then have it be completely different. And yeah, did Tony and Angela get divorced? Did they never get married? I don't know. Then just leave it alone. If you can't get Judith Light, just leave it alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree.
And even if they had Judith just in a way where, like, she's off in Italy or something, but she's on FaceTime a couple times and Tony misses her, There's creative ways, I guess, they could do it if they could get her at least in a limited capacity.
Yeah, I wonder.
But who knows?
It's in the late talking stages, whatever
right,
that
the late
means.
Talking stages. I don't know what that means. It's almost been a year. They announced it, I think, on August 5th. So, we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder.
I'm still holding on to hope for the family being intact and gay Jonathan and his husband coming over.
I don't know. It just seems like it is taking way too long for anything to happen.
Yeah, but it is good that people are still asking about it.
True.
Least.
Yeah, like every time one of them does an interview, I think they're getting asked about it, right?
Yeah.
So.
And unlike there are plenty of reboots out there that have been announced and then just quietly disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Northern Exposure, Cagney and Lacey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
Northern Exposure.
Did I just dream that they're rebooting Kate and Allie?
I don't know.
Or is that real? Because if it is real, I'm so
Kate
excited.
and Allie?
Yes. Did you watch that show? That's our next podcast.
Oh, really?
I love
You're on
that
your own
show.
there. No, I remember the show. I didn't have any issue with it. And I think we watched a few episodes together.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to find, unfortunately, because it was so good. Okay, I don't think I had anything else that I needed to say.
Kate and Allie reboot gets put pilot order at NBC.
See, look at that. Okay, that is a show that they announced it,
and now it's immediately
there's already
NBC.
Distribution attached to it. Yeah. But I mean, like, honestly, I think if you line up Who's the Boss and Kate and Allie, there's no reason why Kate and Allie should get a pilot order and Who's the Boss shouldn't. Unless there's other issues going on, like not being able to get Judith Light. And then there was another one. I'm sorry. What is the other one that I just heard about, too, that they're rebooting? Oh, Night Court.
Night Court. I was saying, Night Court. We talked about it.
Right. Yes.
On this show.
That's where I heard it. On this show, right here.
Exactly. Live.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to cover Season 4, Episode 11. The title of the episode is Just Mona and Me. It first aired Tuesday, December 8th, 1987, and the TV Guide summary says, Angela's prospective client, Leslie Nielsen, wants more than a good ad agency. He's after Mona's heart.
Heart.
This was episode.
That's it?
Yeah, that is it.
God, these are not as descriptive as mine.
Of course not. And here, please read the half-page book.
All right, so the first one is Angela's latest possible client, Max, becomes a close friend of the family, and Mona even considers giving up her bachelorette lifestyle to be with him. Then, one day, he breaks off contact and leaves Tony to deliver Angela and Mona the bad news.
Oh, poor Tony.
Yeah, and then this other one, which is from the same person. I say woman, a person. I don't even know.
Why are they writing two? You write one and move on with your life.
No, I'm sorry. The second one is from the same person who I read the really long one every week. I'm sorry. I wasn't being very clear.
I gotcha.
Max, a major client Angela brings home for a presentation, only has eyes for Mona. Everyone is happy again when the whole Bauer Micelli gang is invited for a weekend in his fishing cabin. Afterwards, Angela is delighted by Mona's intention to go monogamous with him, hoping for a marriage. But Tony gets a call. He cancels the next holiday and even dumps. Period. It just says dumps, period. Tony breaks the news. I know, this is translated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tony breaks the news. I think it's what he news. Tony breaks the news and goes along to prevent worse when Angela visit Max for a lecture. But both are surprised by the other woman in his life with a consoling outcome.
Okay. All right.
Long description.
It is. Okay, this episode was written by Mindy Glazer. We've said her name before on this podcast. I can't remember her other episode that we've covered, but she also wrote a book called Hollywood and Oh, hang on. I know it.
All right.
I'm going to get it right here. Homicide and Vine.
Homicide and Vine.
Yes, and it is a novel about a television writer in the 80s. So it's not based on Who's the Boss, but she did use a lot of her television writing knowledge. So there are little things about it that you can pick up and understand that she's talking about Who's the Boss.
Oh, yeah.
And some recognizable characters. So when this episode starts, Angela is having a presentation in the living room. They don't explain why she has this client at her house instead of at the office.
Maybe the office is being fumigated.
The office has termites.
Oh, I don't know.
But we need him here for this setup. Now, the actor is very well-known actor, Leslie Nielsen. Most well-known for Airplane and The Naked Gun.
Yes.
I don't think I have ever seen the Airplane movies, but
Really?
I loved
God.
Naked Gun as a kid.
Oh, did you? Well, damn, you'd love Airplane. My gosh, so fun.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe was Airplane rated R or something?
Yeah.
And so I must not have been able to see that, but I think by the time Naked Gun came out, it was like PG-13, and I was able to see that.
Yeah, Airplane would never have been made today.
Oh, do you think, is it insensitive?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, maybe we should watch it again and see.
Yeah. It's funny, though.
Okay, now, so I received a DVD that had an episode special called TV Tales, and it was basically like an E! True Hollywood story behind the scenes on Who's the Boss. And there was a funny tidbit about Leslie Nielsen. So apparently, Leslie Nielsen's thing is that he carries a little fart machine in his pocket. And so he thought it was very funny when he would introduce himself or whatever and then hit the little button of the fart machine and then everybody would wonder who farted.
God,
so they had a clip with Asad Kalata, the director, and he's like, and it's funny the first couple of times. He's like, but then he keeps doing it all week long. And he said, and I knew it was going to be a problem. And so at some point, Leslie Nielsen did it on camera, and I guess Tony Danza was like, enough with the fart machine.
He did it on camera.
You know what, Tony Danza? I know that you get a bad rap for having a temper, but I fully support you on the fart machine. It's dumb. It's not funny. I mean, it's funny the first time, but...
I know, but it got to keep going. Such an old person thing to do.
Such an old man thing to do. Okay, so at this point, what year are we in? We're in 1987. So he's probably in his 60s.
He is
here.
60. I looked it up.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, he would have been 60 here.
Okay. So he
I
was
believe.
pretty close in age to
I'm sorry.
To Katherine Hellman. Then.
Yeah,
because she's probably about
pretty
59
sure.
or 60.
I just looked it up,
here.
and I think he was.
He passed away November 28th, 2010, at
That's
the age
right.
of 84 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah, he'd have been like 61.
Okay. So when the episode opens, yes, Angela's having a meeting with him in the living room. And she's saying, if you go with our advertising company, you'll find a campaign that's tied to every step of the way. We use these marketing tools. And she's just throwing out all sorts of ad jargon to him. And he's like, go ahead, you got my attention. And he's listening. She's got pie charts and graphs and drawings. And she's ready to go. So she turns to look at her pie chart, and as she's talking, Mona walks out of the kitchen.
Eating a strawberry, mind you.
Oh, is she eating a strawberry?
Yeah, she picks one up.
Oh, right, yeah. So she walks out, she saunters over.
Yeah.
Then she reaches for a strawberry that's sitting on the table in front of Leslie Nielsen's character, whose name is Max Muldoon. And she picks it up, walks around the back of the couch looking at him while eating the strawberry. And then he just starts following her like a puppy.
I know.
And Angela's talking the whole time, but she doesn't see what's going on because she's looking at her pie chart.
I know. And then around the corner comes Tony, of course, with a laundry basket.
Right.
He's always holding the laundry basket.
So by the time Tony gets in the living room with the laundry basket, Max and Mona are gone. They've gone into the kitchen because he's still following her around. And he's like, this is a great presentation. When does the client get here? And she's like, she looks around and realizes that no one's there. And she's like, where did Max go? And then, what does he say?
But he's not here. No, right?
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's like, where is he? And he's like, he's definitely not here.
Right.
And then
He's
he
not
looks
in
in his
here, and he
laundry
looks in his
basket
laundry
and he says,
basket.
he's not in here. And then she says, mother. And he's like, that would have been my next guess.
Right.
So in the kitchen, Max is talking to Mona and he says, so you're the body behind that smooth and sultry voice.
Wow.
Yes. And then he's like, go ahead. Just do it. And she says, hello, Bauer Agency or whatever, however she answers the phone. And he's all impressed. He's very excited. Angela and Tony follow them into the kitchen. And she's like, oh, hi, hello. My mother, Max, what are you guys doing? And Mona says, I'm improving customer relations.
Yes, she sure is.
She is, yeah. Got to give her that. Look at his jacket. I love this like old school little, because we find out that he owns a yacht company.
Right.
And so he has like this old little like anchor embroidery.
I know, a little
on
crest.
His
That means he's probably part of like a country club or something.
Right. Yes. So
that's his business.
We're
But yeah,
supposed to know
that's what usually those little crested jackets mean.
This is a very wealthy man with a yacht.
Yes.
And a yacht company.
Yes.
So when he hears Angela say mother to Mona, he's like, mother, I would have thought you two were sisters.
Smooth.
Yes, of course. And Mona's like, you're not the first one to make that mistake. But Angela just wants to get back to her presentation. So she's like, okay, this is great. Let's go back in the room, you know. And Max is like, well, oh no, I'm sorry. Mona says that sounds good to me. So they go to walk back into the living room, but Tony walks in instead.
Yeah, kicks the door in and almost knocks Angela over.
And then he says, oh, you must be Max. And so he introduces himself to Max, and he's like talking up the Bauer Agency and how wonderful it is. And Angela says, yes, Max, this is, oh, that's our dog. Okay,
Yep.
1 second. Okay, we're back. Ronan hasn't interrupted with the bell in a while.
I know.
He was feeling left out.
Tonight's the night.
Yeah. So Angela says, this is Max, this is Tony Micelli, my housekeeper and publicist.
I know.
That was cute.
Funny.
So then Leslie, Max says, wait a minute. You used to play second base with the Cards.
That's
and
right.
Tony's like, yeah, all embarrassed and excited. And then he starts telling him about a game in 1976 with the Mets. And he went 4 and
0 for
blew.
4.
Oh, 0 for 4.
0 for 4 and he blew a double play.
Blew a double play.
0 for 4 means he was at 4 at bats and he did not do anything. He didn't get a hit or anything.
Poor Tony. So we've learned that Tony, even before the shoulder, Tony was not a great baseball player.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think housekeeping and eventually teaching was his calling.
Yes.
He said, I had a lot riding on that game. And then Tony's like, oh, man, I'm really sorry. And he's like, no, it was on the Mets.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, he helped.
Yeah, I wish you were still playing. So everyone gets a little chuckle out of that. And he tells Tony, why don't we toss the ball around sometime? He has a yacht parked over in Southport. And Tony's like, well, mine's in the shop, but, we can still toss the ball around.
What does that one have to do with the other?
I have no idea. Do you toss a ball around on a yacht?
No. But I mean, the only thing I can figure is that the yacht's nearby. So if he's in the area checking on the yacht, then he can come by and play ball.
Wait, does he live on this yacht?
I think he just says he has a yacht near the seaport or whatever.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So when he's in the area, they can throw the ball around sometime.
Okay.
I don't know.
But they make it seem like he's in the area all the time because he lives there. Because they go to his house.
Oh.
But was his house...
I'm out.
Was that a boat? And I didn't realize it?
I don't know.
Okay. So Angela's like, this is great and everything, but there is a pie chart in the living room with your name on it. So let's get back out there. And he says, well, I would love to, but, look at the time. I have a date tonight. And he says his dinner plans include cracked crab and champagne on his yacht.
Yeah, cracked crab on ice.
And Angela's like, oh, you have a date? And he says, well, only if she agrees. And then he turns and looks at Mona. So he wants to take Mona to dinner. So he says, are you free? And she says, ships ahoy. So Max is like, I'm really sorry, Angela. I want to hear about the presentation, but it's going to have to just wait. I have a date with Mona for the sunset. So, okay, this guy came over here Do you think he just came over because he wanted to meet the lady who kept answering the phones to see if she was hot?
I don't know. That's a good point.
Like, he can't be a very good businessman if he's coming over to see a presentation and then just makes a date with someone in the kitchen and leaves.
Well, maybe he does. Well, and maybe to your point, maybe he does live nearby. And that's why the meeting was at the house and not at the New York office.
Oh, right. Okay, that's true. Right. So, yeah. So he leaves with Mona.
Right.
And then why is Tony dancing?
I don't know. And it says Popeye theme. So I don't know what the hell.
Oh, yes.
Because like Popeye, a boat.
Yeah. Yeah. He's doing a little Popeye theme, I guess, because they're going to go have dinner on the boat.
Tell me.
So then Angela's like, I can't believe Mother did that. Like once Mona and Max have cleared the room, she gives Tony daggers as he's still doing the little Popeye dance. She's not at all enthused with this.
No.
And she's like, I can't believe she did this. And Tony's like, I know. She gets seasick in the jacuzzi.
Right. Completely missing the point.
Right. But also, okay, really? So that jacuzzi that she fought Angela on
is what she gets sick in?
She can't even sit in that? Okay, then she's like, no, I mean running off with a prospective client. She knows how I feel about mixing business with pleasure. You never socialize with anyone you work with. Says the woman who's created a family with her housekeeper.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then Max opens the door back to the kitchen and says, oh, would you two like to join me this weekend at my cabin in Maine? And Angela says, love to.
You're right.
And like, why would Max invite Angela and her housekeeper to go to...
Right. Right. You think he would just invite her or whatever.
And that's the other thing, too, that I was confused about. Do you think the kids went on this weekend?
I have no idea.
Because later in the episode...
What'd they do otherwise?
Well, later in the episode, the kids seem to really know Max, and like Jonathan's sitting on his lap and stuff. But there's no mention of them actually going away for the weekend with them.
Right.
Okay, so they've decided that they're going to Maine. Now we don't get to see any of the cabin stuff. And I want to know more. Like, where did Tony sleep? It turns out it's a very large cabin, he's going to say later. But I want to see all of the cabin stuff. I want to see them fishing. Apparently there was a big argument over a trout. All we get to see is them coming home.
Right.
And Angela's carrying...
the trout.
A trout, which looks like a baguette at
I know,
first.
it's
like
long.
Yes, it's a very large trout. And so she's carrying it into the house, and she has her hair up in her casual Angela pigtails. Also her, I'm going to throw a tantrum Angela pigtails.
Exactly.
So it's a little confusing. But I guess since she's not wearing pajamas, we just can go with this as kind of casual Angela. So she walks in and she's like, I just love nature. I love being in touch with the rivers and the streams. And Tony's like, okay, all right, we get it. You caught a trout. And then she's like, not just a trout. It's 10 pounds and 2 ounces. The game warden told me I set a record.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's very proud of this. And he says, well, let me go put it in the refrigerator because it's starting to stink. Because we know Tony's a sore loser. So he's mad that she came home with a giant fish and he's holding nothing.
Yeah.
But she says, you know, it's not just the trout that's making me smile. I haven't seen Mother this happy in a long time. And Tony says, yeah, not since they rerouted that men's marathon down the street. Down our street. Okay, notice that Angela sits on this bench by the front door. We never see anyone use this bench by the front door. And it's used twice in this episode.
Right. It's just sitting in the corner on the bench.
Yeah. So just as she's telling Tony this, she sits down on that little bench. Very, very odd that they just like decided to change the shot. Oh, I guess because we need to be able to have them right there when Mona and Max walk in. So Tony's still carrying all the luggage. He hasn't even been able to put anything down. Mona and Max come in and they're acting like a bunch of teenagers. She's like, you're kidding. You're right-handed too? Such a coincidence. And then they're talking about how their names both start with the letter M.
Wow, what are the chances?
Right. And Tony's like, brother. So she's acting like Samantha would act with a new boyfriend. they're talking like, you wouldn't believe how much we have in common. And they're like, yeah, we know. And so Max says to Angela, I am going to see your presentation, but I want to thank you for not pushing it this weekend. And she's like, well, it didn't seem like the right time. And Tony says, yeah, also because your mother threw the charts into the water, threw your pie chart into the water.
Yeah.
So Angela's like, come on, Mother, come into the kitchen with me. I need to put this fish away in the refrigerator. And Mona's like, I really don't want to go with you, but Angela drags her. And Tony says to Max, they go to the bathroom together too. So now in the kitchen, Angela opens up the refrigerator door.
Just jams that fish in there. Like it's nothing. Folds it in half, I think.
And just shoves it in there.
I know.
And she says, I've been dying to get you alone all weekend to talk to you. And she's like, I know what you're going to say, that Max and I make a great couple. And Angela's like, oh, was I that obvious? And she says, well, every time I looked over at you, you were, and she does a little like cheering. She's like a, okay, thumbs up and like a little running in place kind of cheer, which doesn't translate well on a podcast, but I'm sure you've seen the episode.
Yeah, right.
And so Angela's laughing because that's exactly what she was doing all weekend. And she's like, I wanted to talk to you and see how things were going, but every time we would have a chance to chat, you were off walking in the woods with Max, talking in the woods with Max, or who knows what in the woods with Max.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing too. Like, are we supposed to believe that these two like did it in the woods?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mona definitely had sex in the woods with
Two people pushing
Max.
60 or 60 years old.
Yep.
Had sex in the woods.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe it. Now, whether or not it was
in front of the woodchucks,
right?
Or whatever.
So when
what did she
Angela
say?
says,
Was it woodchucks?
yeah, doing whatever you're doing in the woods with Max, and Mona says the woodchucks know. Now, whether or not it was like actually physically challenging, like up against a tree, I don't know. Maybe she's on a blanket on the ground.
And he's rich, and he's got this whole place, and
well, there's probably his private woods. Nobody else is in there.
Oh God. Sex in the woods.
So Angela's like, it's not just that. It's that you seem so different. You were so unlike yourself this weekend. You never put me down once.
I know. And then she seems a little perplexed by it.
I know. And Mona's like, really? I'm going to have to make up for that. But this is sweet here because we're going to find out in future episodes that like Angela is a little worried that Mona isn't going to ever find anyone else. Like I think, Mona enjoys dating and being with different men and being able to do whatever she wants. But I think this is like Angela's dream for her to like find someone and settle down and actually, have a companion for the rest of her life.
Right. Get her out of the house, maybe.
Right. Maybe get out of that garage apartment so
Right.
we can rent it. There was no Airbnb back then, but maybe a college kid in town.
Yeah. Find somebody to rent it.
Yeah. Out in the living room, Tony and Max are talking. And Max is saying, are you sure she likes me? And Tony's like, of course she does. Like, Mona doesn't gut fish for anyone. So I think Mona helped make dinner. Hell yeah, she helped make dinner. I was going to say, he should know that she likes him because she had sex with him in the woods. But it is Mona. So it doesn't necessarily mean that she likes him all that much.
Right.
Max is saying, I really hope so because she has me wrapped around her finger, or she has a headlock on my heart. Now, it seems to me like Leslie Nielsen is almost reading his lines off a cue card here or struggling to remember what he's supposed to say. And I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, I did. I actually did.
Like, it just kind of seemed like his delivering the lines like were choppy or something. Like he was trying to remember what the next part was.
I know. And then, yeah, it did seem odd, but it just seemed like they went with it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what choice. Maybe that's whenever he would pause was when he would try to hit his little fart machine, and he wasn't allowed to anymore. So he was mad.
He was pissed.
Yeah. So then
in
Tony's
trouble.
like, wait until she puts you in a full Nelson. And he's like, I think she already did. So I think that maybe that's referring to the sex in the woods.
Oh, right. Oh, God. Full Nelson.
Max thanks Tony for helping him feel like a part of the family this weekend. Max thanks Angela's housekeeper for helping him feel like a part of the family.
And the housekeeper who's cooking trout for breakfast.
But I just love how, like, Max totally is, he's buddies with Tony. He never questioned what the actual relationship is between Angela and Tony. Just invited him along to the cabin, and now he's thanking him for helping him feel like part of the family.
Yeah, well.
And then Tony's like, well, thank you for letting us stay in that little cabin of yours. I've never seen one with a bowling alley before. So I guess my dreams of there not being enough rooms for Tony and Angela to each have one of themselves are crushed. If there's a bowling alley, probably at least 6 bedrooms. Then, and then Max makes some crack about Tony not being very good at bowling. But now he's trying to get him, I think he wants to bowl again. And Tony's like, I'm going to mop the floor with you this time.
Oh, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about because I don't have that scene.
Oh, because you're watching the Antenna TV version?
Yeah, I'm trying to just watch this. I don't remember anything about bowling. But I have the Antenna TV version.
Okay, yeah. So in the Roku channel version, they have this conversation, and he's like, well, let's have a rematch. And then Tony's like, I'm going to mop the floor. I'm going to kill you right after I do this load of dainty washables. And then he goes to pick up the laundry and go downstairs.
I don't have that. Mine jumps right to him Tony bringing in Mona's luggage.
See, well, okay, wait a minute. Are you sure? Because now Max is going to make a phone call that's pivotal to the plot line of this episode, and that's not in the Antenna TV version?
Well,
rewind.
Okay, then maybe I'm lost. Yeah. Maybe I got lost. Okay. Yeah, I think I do remember the phone call, but is it before?
I think it's before this. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So the phone call's there, but what the Antenna TV version is missing is the whole conversation with Max and Tony leading up to the phone call. Got it.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there so confused about what the hell he's talking about.
Okay, so as Tony leaves with the dainty washables to go down to the basement, Max is looking around, and then he sees the phone behind the couch, and he's like, oh, I should probably go make a phone call.
Yeah.
So we only hear one part. We only hear his side of this phone conversation. And he says, Joan, it's me. I don't think I'll make it home tonight. So they don't clarify who Joan is.
Right.
But it seems suspicious. Then he's like, oh, that's sweet. Okay, same here. All right. And he hangs up.
Yeah, then it makes you wonder what the hell's going on here.
What's sweet? And then what does same here mean?
Right.
Yes, so now we're suspicious. Okay, now back in the kitchen, Angela and Mona are having a cute little moment at the table. And Angela's all like gripping Mona's hand. She's very excited for her. And there's a lot of plaid going on here. I guess because they went to a cabin. Everyone was very excited. Put plaid on.
I guess so.
So Mona's saying, I'm really thinking about making a change in my lifestyle. I'm going to go down to the Y and erase my name out of the bathroom.
It's ridiculous.
And then Angela's like, Mother, I'm so proud of you. What about the gas station?
Yeah,
and Mona's like, no, I really mean it. Like, I want to only go out with Max. Like, I'm ready to be exclusive and to make a commitment. Angela's like, are you going to say something to him? And she's like, I will, but I really wish that he would say it first. We've heard that recently, too.
Yeah, right.
Because wasn't that what Angela said at the therapist's office, that she wishes Tony would say it first?
Right.
Mona says, what if I say something to him and he doesn't feel the same way? But Angela's like, there's no way. I saw all the lingering looks that he was giving you over Bridge. Is that what they were playing? Bridge the night before?
Yeah.
And Mona says, Angela, we were cheating. So that's what all the looks are about.
Cheating.
But Angela's like, okay, well, regardless, I know that he feels the same way about you, and I want my $6 back. So I guess that's what they won, cheating in Bridge.
In Bridge, yeah.
They're still having a sweet moment. Now we go to the next morning, and Jonathan says, this omelet is great. What's in it? The kid who didn't like eggs now likes eggs, and he likes fish with his eggs. Now, the idea of fish in an omelet that's not salmon and smoked is really grossing me out.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I've never heard of fish omelets, but it's probably
I
just
haven't
me.
either, and I don't want to get to know them.
Jonathan says, "What's in it?" And he says, "Trout." So he's cooked up Angela's trout for breakfast. But because I guess he's got to use it up a little bit at a time.
Yeah, it's 10 pounds.
Because it's huge. Yeah, 10 pounds.
And he probably found it folded in half like a waffle in the fridge.
Right. So the kids are now hearing this story. See, this is another reason why I wasn't sure if the kids were invited on this camping trip or cabin trip, because they seemed surprised that Angela caught the trout. Mm-hmm. They had no idea that any of this happened. So
yeah, I don't think they went along. I don't think they were.
All right. So then,
but then where'd they go?
Right. Like, well, I mean, I feel like they're old enough now. Jonathan probably spent the night at a friend's house, and she probably spent the night at Bonnie's house, since that's the only friend we have left.
Yeah, that's true. That works.
But yeah, it is just kind of odd that the kids didn't. That he just like invited them and not the kids. But I guess it was more of like a couples. Although these two are not a couple. I don't know. I'm moving on. Okay. Angela's saying, I set a record. And then Samantha says, well, Dad, what did you catch? And he's like not saying anything. And then Jonathan's like, oh, he didn't catch anything. El Zippo. And then they're kind of making fun of him and teasing him, and Tony doesn't like it. Like, if there's one... First of all, we all already know Tony's a sore loser. So then poking the bear once he's angry.
Oh, yeah, forget it.
You're getting trout again for dinner. Max and Mona walk in, and she says, I promised Max a home-cooked breakfast, so here we are. And she brings him in, and Tony's like, well, that's great, because we still have 9 pounds and 7 ounces of trout left. So now Max sits down with the kids. And again, it seems like he's really familiar with them. And Jonathan sits in his lap, and he's messing with his hair, and they're like kind of talking and chatting. So then Angela says to Mona, did you have a chance to talk to Max about going steady? And she's like, well, I was going to, but then he turned the lights down low, and Angela just rolls her eyes because she knows where this is going.
Yeah, right.
And she got nowhere. I feel like in this part here, I would have liked to have seen some kind of mention to grandkids or something, like, because like Max is having a sweet moment with Jonathan, and then we need, like, their whole breakup is based on something that we don't see happen. Like, the conversation that we have happens completely off screen. And I get that we're supposed to be shocked and we're supposed to not understand why he's breaking up with her.
Right.
But I still feel like they should have given us a tiny little, like, innocuous comment about, oh yeah, I love being a grandma because you get to be with your grandkids and then send them home. Or like something that we probably wouldn't have pieced together until later in the episode, but that still shows us a little bit of a hint of where this is going.
Right.
Jonathan, sitting on Max's lap, says, tell us the story again about the giant turtles in the Galapagos Islands. And Tony says, the Galapagos Islands, Jonathan.
Right.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think this little nerd would have known what the Galapagos Islands are.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's way
That's
into
a good
reptiles,
point.
and he's super smart, and he's already in middle school.
Right.
But everyone's impressed that Tony knows what.
Oh, of course.
And he says, I watch a lot of Wheel of Fortune. And then he says, for the knowledge.
Right.
And Sam gets up to walk out, and she's like, really? I thought it was for Pat Sajak.
Right. I guess that's a Vanna White joke.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
she's totally
okay.
joking that he watches it for Vanna
No, I know.
White.
Yeah, right.
What's funny is that that's still a relevant reference. Like,
Yeah, it
Wheel
is.
of Fortune is still on, and
Yep.
it's still hosted by Pat Sajak
Yep.
and Vanna White.
Yep.
And we've seen Vanna White
Yep.
a few times in the past couple of years
Uh-huh.
in person, and she still looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But could you imagine, like, what a career. She started that job early in her 20s.
Just turn in letters.
Turning letters. She's had consistent work, and she's
Gets
probably a
paid tons and tons of
bajillionaire. Right? To wear beautiful dresses and turn letters.
Yeah.
And they probably only work like 3 days a week, because I think they shoot a bunch of those.
Right. You're probably right. Probably barely work and make a ton of money.
Wow. Amazing.
Yep.
So he's like, whatever, get out. And so Sam leaves to go to school. And then Mona's like, well, Jonathan left also to go to school. So Mona sees that Max's lap is now open. And she's like, well, I'd hate to waste a warm lap.
I know.
And she sits down in it.
You got to give it to Mona, though. At least she's going, it's probably late in the conversation, but she's going for somebody close to her age now.
Yes.
She's always making jokes about younger men and always going for...
Like, I understand that we can't have Mona actually be in a relationship because we need Mona to be Mona.
Right.
But if this was real life, then I think that they would have made a great couple.
Right.
And what we see happens later in the episode, I wish that they could have kept him around because there could have been a lot of really cute things with it. So Tony's like, he sees Mona sitting on his lap, and he's like, just, keep it clean. I run a clean kitchen.
I run a clean kitchen.
Now, Max says that he wants to ask, he wants Angela's blessing for something before he asks Mona. And Angela just yells, yes! Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay,
before
great.
knowing anything.
Right. He's like, okay, great. Well, you just agreed to let Mona have 2 weeks off of work to sail with me to the Bahamas if she wants to. And then she screams, yes!
Exactly.
So everyone's very excited.
Yeah, because Mona's going to the Bahamas? Wait, what?
Yes, to the Bahamas. I really like Angela's outfit in this kitchen scene, too.
Yeah,
which I forgot to mention earlier. It's super cute.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Now, Tony comes in the living room, so we're to believe that it's maybe not the next day, maybe like a few days later.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to tell. And he's carrying...
Yeah, because Mona's actually went shopping, too, which we learn.
Yeah. And so he's carrying 3 bags, and then Mona comes in with one more. Tony Danza is singing this Love Boat song way too long.
I know. It goes on forever.
If there was anything Antenna TV could have cut out, it was this.
No, I got the whole Love Boat song.
Yeah. Just singing away. And I wonder if they had to pay for that, because that's what I meant to look up. Was it? Okay, yeah. Thank you. I meant to look that up earlier.
No, it was on ABC.
Okay, so then they didn't have to. So that's why. And as you confirmed for me, Tony Danza was in 2 episodes of The Love Boat.
It was a 2-parter.
I think I want to track that down. Does The Love Boat stream anywhere?
I don't know.
You're not still on the page, are you? I'm just wondering what year it was. Okay.
That he was on The Love Boat?
Yeah. Probably like late 70s?
I think it was right after Taxi.
Oh, okay.
If I read it.
So before
if I remember
this
correctly,
and
it was right after.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like right into this.
Mona comes in decked out in this whole little sailor outfit. She has a little red beret on and like a blue and white striped shirt. Oh, no, a red and white striped shirt with like a blue jacket. She looks like Captain and Tennille. I don't really know what's happening here. Tony's telling her that she looks great. She's in ship top shape.
Tip
top. I feel
Wouldn't
like
it
he
be
makes
tip-top shape?
I know, but I feel like he makes some ship joke here.
Probably, yeah.
But now I passed it and I don't know. Okay, Angela comes in and is like, "Mother, you look great." And then she's like, "Oh, it's just a little going away gift." And she's like, Angela asks, "From Max?"
Right.
And she says, "No, from you."
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're over your limit at sex.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Poor Angela.
She's always spending Angela's money.
I know. Then Angela walks over and she's like, "Are those my new earrings?" And she's like, "Yes." Oh, because Angela says, Tony says, "At least it's for a good cause."
Right.
And then Angela notices that Mona's wearing her earrings, and Mona says, "Remember the cause."
Right. She's really trying to.
Right. And she's covering her ears.
I know.
Tony's like, all right.
She's already recognized it.
Right. Tony's like, I better just get all the luggage out to the car before this goes downhill. Okay, now they use this bench again. So Angela sits Mona down at the little wooden bench by the front door.
The little bench.
And she asks Mona, "Did you and Max talk about you and him and you and no one else?" And Mona says yes. And then Angela asks, "How did it go?" And Mona does the same okay, thumbs up, running in place movements that Angela was doing earlier in the episode out of excitement. So
Does that
they're
mean
both...
they had sex in the woods again? Hope not.
I mean, probably. But it seems like before that happened, they at least discussed being exclusive. But again,
right.
we weren't privy to any of that conversation. So we're not supposed to know exactly what they talked about.
Yeah, all right.
So they're both very excited when Tony walks back in. He's like, all right, Mona, you're all packed up and ready to go. And he asks her, do you have your Dramamine? Because nothing ruins a romantic vacation like throwing up on the bulkhead. And then Angela says, I know that from experience. And then Tony, which I think seems like a Tony Danza ad-lib, points at her and says, you would, is what I think he's saying. I can't really tell. Is it on your closed captioning?
I don't know. Let me see me go back again.
Yeah, he says something like, you would. And then she seems like a little shocked. But also, it's not on the closed captioning, so I don't know if it was a real line or not.
Yeah.
So Mona's like, okay, well, we better go to the drugstore then. And she says to Angela, you better come with me because you might want to buy me some outrageously expensive perfume.
Right. Yeah, because she used up Angela's.
Right. And Angela's like, oh, you didn't just pack mine? And she says, I used all of it.
Yeah.
Let's not use too much perfume, people.
No.
It gives everyone a headache.
Yes.
Just stop. They're off to the drugstore. Now, Tony's dancing around the living room because he's just so happy that Mona's in love. He can't help himself.
And he's singing. Yep. And he's singing the Love Boat.
Yep, singing the Love Boat again.
But then he says, the lyrics are, he says, the Love Boat soon will be making another turn, which isn't the...
That's not the right lyric?
No, it's making another run.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
You know
Maybe
a lot
I'm
about
wrong.
the Love Boat.
Well, I know the song.
I have no idea.
You don't know the Love Boat song?
No.
Oh, God.
And he goes into the refrigerator and gets out a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, because he's setting it up.
With a little, he's a little romantic. And the phone rings.
Yeah,
So he
know it's going to be trouble.
Right. So he answers the phone.
Okay, but hang on, wait.
Yeah.
So I've got the lyrics. To
Oh,
Love
okay.
Boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing about... The lyric is... let it flow, it floats back to you. The Love Boat soon will be making another run. But he says turn, very Tony.
Right.
It's making another turn. What does that mean?
Well,
like the Love Boat runs. It makes runs. It comes back to the shore, run, goes back out. I'm making a turn. Well, I guess it turns while it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, cruise ships make those wide turns, so you got to...
Yeah, my father used to sing this song walking around the house all the time. It's probably why I know it.
That sounds a lot like your dad.
Yep.
And like you.
Yep.
Not the Love Boat, but just walking around singing nonsense.
No, but I'll sing it now. I know how it goes.
Okay, great. I'm excited for tomorrow. Yeah. So Tony answers the phone, and it's Max. And he says, Tony's joking that it's his cruise director, and he says, let me tell you, I got something special for you, for you to break over the bow, which is that champagne bottle. And Max says, hang on, Tony, is Mona there? He's like, no, they just went out, but they'll be back in a minute. And Max says, something came up. I'm not going to be able to make that trip. And Tony's like, oh, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, like
Are you
out of
okay?
nowhere. What happened?
Yeah, like this is an odd thing for someone to just call and say at the last minute. Okay, so now looking at the inside of Max's office here, this definitely is not a yacht. So
no,
this is
it's
like
not.
An apartment, because I can see other apartment.
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
So he does live in town, or he's staying somewhere where he has a place.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think maybe he doesn't live too close, but the yacht's close to them,
right?
Which is why he offered to play ball. I can't let that go.
Tony's like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? And Max says, well, here's the thing. It's over between me and Mona. And I'm going to call her later and I'm going to explain. And then a woman comes out at that moment and is saying something to him like, Max, we should get going. And he covers the phone up and he tells her, okay, yeah, well, I'll be right there. And then he says, and another thing, Tony, I know Angela's really hoping for this business, but it would be kind of awkward for me to work with her now, considering this. So if you could please let both of them know what is happening.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Yeah. Hi, Tony. I don't want to go out with Mona anymore, and I'm not going to let Angela have the account. So if you could do me a favor and just let both of them know that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks.
Break Mona's heart and then tell Angela that she lost an account. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. So Tony's like, but wait a minute, Max. I mean, hang on. Let's talk about this. And Max just hangs up the phone. Tony has gone from
Max
singing...
is a coward.
Tony's gone from singing Love Boat to Devastation Boat. He looks very sad here now. And he says, what would Gavin MacLeod do in a spot like this?
Yes.
Which, the reference there is, who was Gavin MacLeod?
He was the captain
right?
on the Love Boat. And he was the one who was always giving advice to people and helping people out, which is why I think he says, what would Gavin MacLeod do?
Maybe our next podcast needs to be The Love Boat, because you seem to know a lot about the show.
I just remember, I remember watching that. That and it was Fantasy Island. One came on after the other.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
one.
I couldn't turn the TV off fast enough when Fantasy Island came on.
Once, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Name came out of the plane.
Well, Ricardo Montalban
was in it
I don't
too.
remember the little person's name.
Yeah. He would come out and say the plane.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's something that would never happen again now.
No, it would. At all.
Okay, so Tony's like, what would Gavin MacLeod do in a spot like this?
Right, yeah, like I said, he always, the captain always gave advice to people on the boat.
See.
On the Love, because there's always a problem on the Love boat, believe it or not.
We really need to track down the Tony Danza episodes. I want to watch that
Okay,
now.
I'll see what I can do.
It's got to make up for the Hollywood Nights.
Oh.
It can't be that bad.
No, it's probably way better than that. It probably has a story.
Okay, so now
Sorry.
Tony's pacing in the living room and he's trying to figure out how he's going to do this. So he's like, okay, first I'll tell Angela, then we'll both tell Mona, and so he's going over that, and he's like, oh, all right, no, how about I'll tell Angela, and then I'll take my 2 weeks vacation. So he's like, come on, Micelli, you can do this. And he's giving himself a pep talk. Well, in walk Angela and Mona. And as soon as he sees them, he's like, hi, okay, bye. And he goes to run up the stairs. But he can't do it. He's like, all right, okay. So Mona's like, Max is going to be here any moment. I should go freshen up. Freshen up from what, Mona? You're completely decked out and all you did was go to the drugstore. So Tony's like, oh, don't worry, you have plenty of time. And Mona's like, says, did Max call? Is he going to be late? And he's like, well, I mean, no, not really. So now Angela's getting curious as to what's going on. They're telling, like, Tony, just tell us what's happening. Come on with it. And he says, Angela, you didn't get the account. And then Angela throws a complete fit.
I know, like a child. Life isn't fair. Or whatever she says.
That little high screech, no! She's like, I worked so hard on that and he never even heard my pitch and life is so unfair. And sits down angry. And Tony says, don't you think you're overreacting? And she says, no, what could be worse than this? And then
hold that thought.
Right, hold that thought. Which all that makes me think of now is hold my beer.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's about what Tony's going to do here.
Yep.
Mona's like, oh, don't worry, baby. I am not without influence in the pleasure craft industry.
Okay. What the hell does that mean?
Again, we're back to Sex in the Woods. Because I guess his yacht company is considered the pleasure craft industry.
Oh,
and so
okay.
she's saying that she's going to be able to talk him back into going with Angela for the campaign. But, like, why would they think he would say no at this point? Like, he never heard... Like, that would seem like a pretty dick move if there wasn't something else going on. I mean, it's all a dick move, but
Right.
So then Tony's like, well, Mona, the funny thing about influence is that it comes and then it goes. And now Mona's getting confused. Like, Tony, what are you talking about? And he says, well, Max went. So he says Max isn't coming, and he says that he can't see you anymore, but he's going to call and explain. And now Angela realizes that there is something worse than her losing the account.
Now, see, if I was Tony, I would have let it ride. Just ignore it.
What? Just go upstairs? Just wait for it. Just hide in your room until...
Why isn't he calling? And then she'd have called him and then found out what was going on.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Just let it ride. Why do I have to deliver this bad news to all these people?
But that's why Tony Micelli is a better person than us.
Okay,
and
sure.
Also, Tony kind of enjoys this because remember he volunteered to tell Angela she didn't get that other account when he didn't have to.
Yeah, that's true.
Anytime Tony can deliver bad news, he's kind of into it, even though he acts like he's not. So Angela's like, Mother, this is terrible. And Angela seems very upset. And so Mona's about to cry, so she's saying, like, I'm going to go unpack. And so she picks up her bag and she quickly runs out the back door. Now, Angela and Tony are left alone in the living room, and Tony just says to Angela, men, they're all alike. And then he runs upstairs. So now, back at Max's apartment, we meet the woman again who walked in while he was on the phone with Tony. We're to assume that this is also Joan, who is the woman he called when he called home the first time.
Right.
So she comes in and she asks him what he would like for dinner. He says, I'm not very hungry, you know,
He's like,
whatever you want. And then she's like, well, as long as you're in such an agreeable mood. But nothing about his mood seemed agreeable to me. It was kind of like, I don't care because I want to be left alone.
Right.
So she says, you know, I was thinking about going to the Hamptons this weekend. And he says, that's a great idea. You and your husband could really use some alone time. She says, you're a terrific boss. And he says, I know, thanks.
I know, thanks.
The doorbell rings, so she says, I'll go answer the door. So now we've established that this is someone who works for him and not his wife.
Right.
But Tony and Angela don't know that yet.
And Tony and Angela, once again, even though it's one certain person's problem, they both show up.
Right.
Just like when Jonathan in school, they both show up.
Of course. This is why people always assume they're married.
I know. They show up together.
But it's funny here because it's like Angela showed up with someone who could or could not be a hitman. Like he's all like in mob mode when he walks in here.
Tough guy.
So Joan answers the front door and Angela says, I'm Angela Bauer of the Bauer Agency. And Tony says, I'm Tony Micelli of the Bauer Residence.
Of the Bauer Residence. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
So she invites them inside. She says she'll go get Max. Tony sees her walk away and says, well, now we know why the creep didn't call back. He's got a girlfriend. So Max really is a coward because not only did he send Tony in to do the dirty work, then he didn't call to explain anything to Mona.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
You let it ride and it would have worked itself out.
Yeah, like it would make sense if they had like gone straight there or something. But it makes it seem like some time has passed and he never called. Yeah, so he says he's got himself a girlfriend. But Angela noticed that the woman is wearing a wedding ring. So she says that creep is married.
Yep.
And now Tony's like, I've heard enough. Let's go. I want to go home and take a bath.
I'm going to go. Why?
And Angela says, no, we're not letting him off the hook so easily. Hell hath no fury like the wrath of a daughter of a woman scorned. So silly. Tony says, I don't think that's how it goes. But right then, Joan opens the door and invites them in. So they go in to talk to Max. And as Joan's leaving the three of them alone, she says, I'm really excited about the Hamptons this weekend.
Right, which makes it seem like...
Right, which, like, wouldn't that... I mean, would she really say that to her employer, or wouldn't you be like, thanks again so much for the time off, and then walk
and wait till other people are gone?
Right. But they have to build the tension by making you really think that this could be his wife, or making Tony and Angela really think that. So Angela's like, oh, so you're going away for the weekend with your wife. And then he says... you know, that is not my wife. And she's like, okay, well, then you're going away with somebody else's wife. How low can a man sink while my mother sits at home waiting for you in her sailor suit? Oh, so I guess it is the same day if Mona's still wearing the sailor suit. And he just hasn't called yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So
He's getting
Max...
money's worth for that.
So Max again says, like, I'm not going away with anyone else. And Angela says, is there somebody else? Like, is there another woman? And at the same time, Tony tells Max that he caught Max holding his stomach in front of the mirror.
Yeah, for no reason.
Right. Now, Max explains that Joan is his housekeeper and that he is not married. And I like here that Tony and Angela didn't make any kind of joke about if she's really just his housekeeper. Because that's what they always get.
Right.
And I think it would have been funny to see them make that joke at or question that about someone else when that is exactly their life. So Angela's like, well, then why did you dump my mother? Like, is there somebody else? And he says, actually, there is someone else. So then he goes over and he asks Joan to bring out Catherine Ann.
Right. Then you're wondering, is this an adult?
I know. Like, who is Catherine Ann? So then he tells Angela, Catherine Ann is my daughter. And Angela says, well, Mother never mentioned that you had a daughter. He says, that's because I didn't tell her.
Yeah.
And they ask her, like, why not? Because they're expecting to see probably like a teenage to adult woman walk out. And instead, Joan walks out carrying what looks to be about a 6-month-old baby, I would say. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
old
probably.
enough to be holding their head up, but not sitting up on their own or anything yet.
Yeah, for sure.
So she hands Max Catherine Ann, who is the 6-month-old baby. And he says, this is my best girl. This is Catherine Ann, Muldoon. And Tony and Angela immediately melt, especially Tony. So Tony's like pushing Angela out of the way, and he starts doing his little baby coos to her and like poking at her and stuff. Now, the actress who's playing this baby is not listed in the episode. It's not listed on IMDb. So it's always been fan folklore that this is actually Catherine Danza, Tony's oldest daughter.
And the timing fits.
The timing does fit. So she was born in May of 1987. This episode aired in November, but probably would have been shot like the beginning of September. So she would have been about 6 months old. It's hard to tell, though, because like this baby has kind of bluish gray eyes, and his daughter has brown eyes. She looks a little different than like any baby picture I can find of his daughter. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone will ever know. Right, but it possibly is his daughter. If not, the name Catherine Ann is his daughter's. And so they definitely use the name for that reason. They're kind of like, looking at the baby and everyone's all excited. And Angela's like, well, I don't understand. Why didn't you just tell my mother about her? And he says, well, I didn't want to scare her off. He explains.
So he just immediately shuts it all down.
Well, but he's going to say something here that a conversation we weren't privy to. But he says, I married a young woman who didn't want to be tied down with children. And frankly, I think Mona is the same way. Angela and Tony are like, well, wait a minute. What makes you say that? And then he says, I was talking with Mona last night, and it was really lovely up until the part about kids. This is my favorite part of the whole episode. Angela stands up and says, what did she say about me?
I know, right. That is pretty funny.
Oh, that's my favorite. And he's like, she didn't say anything about you. It was just kids in general. And then Tony's like, you're so sensitive or you're so insecure. But Angela has every reason to be insecure when it comes to Mona. Max says she was telling me that she's happy to be at this point in her life where she's not tied down and she can just do what she wants. And so he says, if I tell her about Catherine Ann and she says okay to be a good sport, this really isn't something that she wants. And like this honestly is... One, I think this is a really interesting storyline that they explored here, especially for the time.
Yeah.
Two, the idea of two people in their 60s or nearing their 60s having a young baby, that would kind of be a very large commitment.
Yeah, it would be a little bit. Especially with Mona, like not having a young child to take care of forever.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
she's a grandmother.
So right.
She loves being around the kids, but then she gets to go home to her backyard apartment.
Right.
And this is a 6-month-old baby that's soon going to be a toddler and going to be a lot of work. Now, Max is very wealthy. He obviously has a housekeeper/nanny, but...
Right, which they wouldn't have to worry about that.
But it does seem like it's something that he probably should have brought up in the very beginning of their relationship. So Angela says, well, you're wrong about that. If there's one thing about my mother, she's not going to do anything to be a good sport. She's only going to do this if she wants to. And then Tony says, if there's one thing about Mona, you always know where you stand.
It's true. That is true.
That is true. Here's the other thing that makes me think that this possibly isn't Okay, so this baby's probably about 6 months old, and I feel like their stranger danger doesn't really kick in till like 8 or 9 months old.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of when Avi did. Avi did she was like between 3 months and 9 months? And I remember towards the end, it was getting a little harder for her. The reason why I think this may not be his daughter is because at no point is she reaching for him, which is normally what will happen if the parent is right by the actors. Like then once they hit a certain age and they see you, because I know like Avi was fine with handing her off to pretty much anyone. And then towards the end of shooting Better Half, when we were around and she would see us, she would reach for us or she would be looking at us.
Right.
In the
I
shots
remember
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
And this baby's not doing that. So I don't know if it's just the age or if she doesn't have any affiliation with anyone up on this stage. And so it's not a big deal to her. Because you would think that if Tony was her dad, she would be reaching for the one person she recognized in this room.
Right. That's the thing. And she does kind of look at him, and
She does look at him and like put a hand out, but I don't know if it's just kind of like, oh, that looks like a leather jacket, or if that's reaching for daddy, I can't tell. Tony says, you always know where you stand with Mona. And then they cut to Mona letting him have it. So hang on, let me find the exact words here. You half-witted, lame-brain numbskull is what she calls him. So he's now back at their house. He's sitting in the living room listening to Mona yell at him. And she says, where do you get off saying I don't like kids? You don't know what I like. Well, you know some of the things I like.
Right. Of course, got to throw that Mona joke in there.
Back to Sex in the Woods. Yep. Every time it always goes back to that.
Oh, yeah, the Sex in the Woods.
So then he says, I messed everything up and I'm really sorry and, I ruined everything and now you probably can't forgive me. So she's like, well, there you go again, just jumping to conclusions. And so he's like, oh, well, then I didn't mess anything up? And she says, I don't give my heart to just anyone. What do you think I do? Write my name on the wall at the Y?
Right. Well, yeah.
Right. Which is exactly what she does.
Yep.
So he says he's excited that she's going to give him a second chance. And they kind of make up. Has she even met the baby at this point? I don't really know. But he says that you're beautiful when you're vicious. And so now he would like to go back and watch the sunset on the yacht. But she says only if we can be alone. And he kind of deflates a little bit. And she says, just you and me and Catherine Ann. So he's like, oh, you got me.
Yeah,
and they
like,
hug. Now, Angela and Tony have been eavesdropping at the kitchen door this whole time. And they go ahead and call them out because they know that they've been there. So they bring little Catherine Ann out. And Angela says, I have your baby right here. And then Tony says, I have your bottle. And he hands Max the bottle of champagne.
He's been trying to give him.
Right, yes. So they can break it over the bow of the yacht.
Yeah, break it in.
So he says, is that the right term? Bow? I don't know. Bulkhead? No,
I think
that's where
so.
Mona would have thrown up. Who knows? I don't know anything about boats. So Max says that he wants to thank Tony for everything. And then he says, I just want you to know, though, I don't stand in front of the mirror and suck in my stomach. And Tony says, maybe you should. Why? And then Mona's holding little Catherine Ann, who just seems to be looking at the studio audience and all around.
I know.
And she's like,
a
all right.
9-month child should.
Right. She's like, all right, kid, come on. You and I can get to know each other. But if you throw up on my epaulette, you're off to boarding school. And then she is making Catherine Ann wave goodbye to everyone.
Yeah.
So they're going to take this kid now on the yacht, but that baby's going to the baby probably has a full bedroom on the yacht. So then I guess you put the baby down. But who's getting up with that baby in 4 hours when she wakes up?
I don't know. Somebody.
Yes.
You have to flip a coin.
Sitcoms make this whole parenting thing look a lot easier than it is.
They're like, oh, here you go. Here's the baby.
Okay, so they wave them out the door, have a great time, and Tony's saying, bye, Katie, bye, Katie face. And then he makes a comment about what a cute name. Like, that's such a great name. And that's because it's his daughter's name. So whether or not that is his actual daughter that he's saying goodbye to, who knows?
Yeah.
Really? Is he going to ring the bell twice in this
No, that was
show?
the cat.
Oh, okay. And so, wait, is that the end or is there a tag? No, that's it. That's the end of the episode.
No, there's a tag.
There is?
I believe so. I had one. Oh, no. No, because that is the...
That was the
okay.
tag.
That was the tag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It just kind of all blended together.
Gotcha. All right.
You go first with rating.
Okay. I don't know. I was kind of mixed on this episode. I liked it, and kind of went, it just went really fast, the storyline.
Yeah.
But I guess it had to.
Right.
I gave it a 7.
All right.
I liked Leslie Nielsen. I always have. And he did a good job in this show. I mean, he wasn't his obviously ridiculous character that he is in Airplane and Naked Gun or anything, but yeah, I mean, it had its moments. It was good. Mm-hmm. I like how excited Angela was that Mona had a boyfriend.
Yeah, that was cute.
And she wasn't, maybe she'll stop running around now. The parts I didn't like is, like, a reasonable adult would have just laid it all out on the table and said, "This is my life. I have a child."
Right. And
not like heavily pursue somebody and then call their housekeeper and tell them, can you break up with my girlfriend, and can you tell this other woman I don't want to do business with her? Okay,
right.
bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, thanks.
Like, ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That
part was a little ridiculous. But yeah, 7. I'm sticking with that.
All right. I went with the 7 also. So I don't remember enjoying this episode at all. But I enjoyed this episode much more watching it for the podcast this time.
Yeah, it was good.
And I think it was an interesting storyline for them to explore for the time. It focused on an older couple, which I feel like wasn't, now Golden Girls is on in 1987. So I think, they're starting to kind of maybe see the quality in those storylines more. But I like that this was explored, and the idea of, like, there being a young baby involved really kind of took me by surprise when the normal route would have been that he was cheating or whatever, and this was kind of a unique storyline.
Right, that's true too, and they led you to believe that was what was probably happening.
Yeah. I would like to have seen some little indication of Mona saying a grandparent kind of quip, just so that we would have some foreshadowing as to what was happening without realizing it until after it happened.
Right.
But whatever. And I love how excited Angela is, and I just love that Tony got invited to the cabin. And I want to see more of what happened at the cabin.
Oh, I know the cabin thing happens fast. I almost didn't know whatever that was the next day or a couple
after
days
the
later.
Weekend or whatever.
Right,
yeah.
and she's coming in with the child. I'm like, did they go to?
Yeah.
I guess Angela purchased I'm caught a very large fish. So yeah, not purchased, but caught.
Who's the boss around here? Me or my mother, or maybe it's you?
I went with Angela for the boss.
Okay.
And the reason is because she kind of was pushing Mona to say something to Max about wanting to be exclusive. Then I know Tony played a large part in it also, and he was burdened with the having to break up with everyone. But I feel like Angela dragged him to go talk to Max to, like, find out what happened, because he seemed like he really didn't want to be there. And then she sort of got him to straighten it out at the end. So it could have been a tie, but I went with Angela. Yeah.
No, I actually agree with that too. I think Angela was kind of, in control, and like when he abruptly broke up with her, they went down there and talked to him, and like she was that concerned about it. And if she didn't do that, then it wouldn't have developed any further.
Right. But they would have just never heard from Max again.
Right. That would have been it. Like, that would have been, Tony would have broke up or explained the breakup, and then that would have been it. Never heard from Max again, even though he heavily pursued her. It's ridiculous. So anyway.
I'm curious to see if we're going to hear about Max, because he's going to be, Leslie Nielsen is back for one more episode.
Right.
But it's not
I know, I saw that.
It's episode 21, and we're on 11. So
That's
it's not
weird.
for 10 episodes.
How does he show up and...
I don't know. So
yeah,
I
Mona's
just...
boyfriend. It's great. Okay, I'll see you later.
So I wonder if we're going to hear any references to him and just not see him or the daughter.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. That
But
seems like a long stretch.
Yeah, and I wish that they would have kept him around more because I want to see Tony and Angela interact with a baby, and they would have had a baby, or like
Right.
they could have babysat while they went out. But it was probably hard to get Leslie Nielsen for more than just a couple of episodes.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pretty big movie star then.
Yeah.
You know, with those Airplane and Naked Gun and all that.
Yeah. Okay, so you can reach us at the Who's the Boss podcast on... It's at Who's the Boss podcast on Instagram, at Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter. On Facebook, our page is the Who's the Boss podcast page, or go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave us a message.
All right.
The next episode we're going to cover is Yellow Submarine. This is a good one.
Oh, okay. The way you said it, I wasn't sure.
No, this is a cute one.
Okay, good. I look forward to it then.
Okay, that's all we have to say, right?
I
Good
think
night?
so.
Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give a big thumbs up and tell all your friends. And maybe you can tell your grandma, your mother, and your sister or brother. Maybe you have no siblings. Tell your dog and cats. Bye.